The resilience revolution, how consistency creates legacy. Have you ever felt like you're running a marathon with no finish line in sight? That feeling when your legs are burning, your lungs are screaming, but somehow you keep going? I recently had the privilege of interviewing Karen Boykin Towns, a transformational leader whose wisdom has fundamentally altered my understanding of resilience. Her journey from navigating corporate America as one of few Black women in leadership to becoming a vice president advisor and later the CEO of her own consulting firm isn't just impressive, it's revolutionary. Karen's insights illuminate something profound about the path of Black professionals and entrepreneurs that I'm compelled to share with you today. The marathon metaphor isn't just about endurance, it's about something deeper that Karen helped me understand, something I call the resilience revolution. When we talk about resilience, we often picture someone weathering a storm, holding on until it passes. But what Karen revealed was something far more powerful. True resilience isn't just about surviving the storm, it's about learning to dance in the rain, to build during the downpour, to create legacy through consistency, even when exhaustion threatens to overwhelm you. Let me take you into Karen Boykin Town's world for a moment. Here's a woman who spent over 2 decades at Pfizer Inc., eventually rising to Vice President of Corporate Affairs for their $34 billion innovative medicines business. But her title doesn't tell the real story. The real story is how she navigated seismic corporate changes, executive transitions, organizational restructuring, strategic realignments, all while advocating for greater equity within a Fortune 50 company. The real story is how she began her career in spaces where few women, and even fewer Black women, held senior roles, yet managed to build alliances across sectors that transformed not just her career, but the landscape for those who would follow. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had days where just showing up felt like climbing Mount Everest, days where the weight of expectations, both external and self imposed, felt crushing. Karen faced those same mountains, but she didn't just climb them, she built pathways for others along the way. That's the first lesson from my conversation with Karen. Resilience in leadership isn't just about personal survival, it's about creating systems that lift others as you rise. But here's where it gets interesting. Karen's story isn't unique in its challenges, it's unique in its response to those challenges. And that brings me to the second powerful insight from our conversation. Have you heard of the Anti Karen Foundation? For 20 years, this remarkable organization has hosted its Young Entrepreneurs Conference, fostering entrepreneurship among young people from underrepresented backgrounds. Think about that. 20 years of consistent community investment. Not a one time program, not a flash in the pan initiative, 20 years of showing up day after day to empower the next generation. When I asked about this foundation's impact, I learned something that stopped me in my tracks. Many of these young participants face limited access to resources or mentorship due to systemic barriers. But through workshops, networking opportunities with established business owners, and hands on projects like building businesses from simple ideas, these young entrepreneurs aren't just learning skills, they're inheriting a legacy of possibility. One alumnus, and this story particularly moved me, started by making rubber band necklaces. Simple, right? But through the consistent mentorship and the values instilled by the foundation, that same young person eventually launched larger ventures. The key lesson they credited for their growth: consistency, showing up every day, even when exhaustion, anxiety, or uncertainty threatened to derail them. That's the second lesson. Community empowerment isn't about grand gestures, it's about consistent investment in human potential. Now, I want to pause here and acknowledge something. We're sitting in this beautiful auditorium listening to ideas worth spreading. But I know, and you know, that real life isn't always this polished. Real life includes days when you feel exhausted, numb, anxious, confused, days when the thought of consistency feels like a cruel joke because you're barely holding on. Karen addressed this reality head on in our conversation. She spoke about how consistency becomes most crucial precisely when it feels most impossible. That alumnus from the Auntie Karen Foundation didn't succeed because they never felt uncertainty. They succeeded because they learned to take one step forward even when the path ahead was foggy. This brings me to the third and perhaps most powerful lesson from our conversation. Consistency drives success, especially through the valleys. There have been moments in many professional journeys when consistency felt like an unattainable luxury, when the emotional weight of navigating spaces not designed for people who look like us felt overwhelming. Countless professionals express the same sentiment that sometimes just showing up feels like a revolutionary act. And that's exactly what it is, a revolution, a resilience revolution. Karen Boykin Towns didn't become a vice president at Pfizer overnight. The Auntie Karen Foundation didn't transform hundreds of young lives in a single workshop. That alumnus didn't go from rubber band necklaces to successful ventures in one inspired weekend. They all practiced the quiet, unglamorous art of consistency, of showing up when it would have been easier to give up, of taking one more step when rest seemed more appealing than progress. This consistency, this daily commitment to purpose, despite feelings of exhaustion or confusion, is what transforms individual success into collective empowerment. It's what turns personal achievement into community legacy. Karen made a powerful observation during our conversation. She noted that many of us are waiting for the perfect conditions to pursue our dreams, waiting until we feel completely ready, until the path is clear, until the doubts subside. But those conditions rarely materialize on their own. Instead, they're created through consistent action. The alumni of the Auntie Karen Foundation didn't wait until they had perfect business plans or unlimited resources. They started with what they had, sometimes just rubber bands and an idea, but they showed up consistently to the workshops. They applied the lessons consistently in their ventures. They built relationships consistently with mentors and peers. And over time, that consistency created something remarkable. Not just successful businesses, but a community of support that continues to lift others up. Some alumni now return as mentors themselves, creating a beautiful cycle of empowerment that spans generations. This is the heart of the resilience revolution, understanding that our consistent efforts today create ripples that extend far beyond our immediate horizon. Now, I want to be clear about something. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean never taking a rest or never experiencing doubt. Karen Boykin Towns didn't navigate her corporate career without moments of uncertainty. The Auntie Karen Foundation hasn't operated for 20 years without facing challenges. Consistency means recommitting to your purpose even after the inevitable stumbles. It means understanding that the path to meaningful change isn't a straight line, but a series of steps, sometimes forward, sometimes sideways, occasionally backward, but always ultimately progressing. The stories Karen shared reveal a powerful truth. The most meaningful transformations aren't born from sporadic bursts of inspiration, but from sustained commitment to purpose and people. Karen Boykin Towns didn't just advance her own career, she shaped more inclusive leadership practices at one of the world's largest pharmaceutical firms, paving pathways for future generations of diverse leaders in both corporate America and nonprofit advocacy. The Auntie Karen Foundation didn't just host workshops, it built a 2 decade legacy of empowerment that strengthens local economies by equipping new generations with the tools for self sufficiency. That alumnus didn't just grow a business, they embodied a message that steady progress, even when feeling overwhelmed, is crucial across all professional pursuits. So here's my challenge to you today: stop waiting for the perfect moment to begin your revolution. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your consistency. What would happen if you took one imperfect action today toward that dream you've been holding? What if you committed to showing up tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, especially on the days when you don't feel like it? Imagine a world where each of us embraced this philosophy of consistent action, where we understood that revolutions aren't built in grand, dramatic moments, but in the quiet daily commitment to creating change. Karen Boykin Towns didn't set out to revolutionize corporate leadership. She simply showed up day after day, bringing her full self to space that weren't designed for her. The Auntie Karen Foundation didn't aim to transform an entire generation of entrepreneurs in one day. They committed to the long, patient work of mentorship and empowerment. The revolution is waiting for you. Not the version of you that has it all figured out, not the version of you that never feels tired or doubtful or overwhelmed, but you, exactly as you are right now, with your unique gifts, your particular challenges, your specific vision for what could be better in this world. Your consistency matters. Your daily commitment to showing up for yourself, for your community, for your purpose is creating ripples you cannot yet see. And those ripples over time become waves. And those waves collectively become the revolution. So today, I dare you to begin your own resilience revolution. Take that first step. Commit to consistency. Trust that your daily efforts, however small they may seem in the moment, are creating transformation that extends far beyond what you can currently imagine. Because that's how legacies are built, not in grand, isolated moments of brilliance, but in the quiet, consistent commitment to showing up day after day with purpose and persistence. The revolution isn't coming, it's already here. And it starts with you showing up consistently today and every day that follows.